am Tone,
And I'm Llama, and we
and
are.
we are. Oh! You were trying to give me the cue in this time.
Yeah, it didn't go well.
It did not go well. Let's try that again. I am Tone,
And I'm Llama, and we are.
ToneDEFLlama. Purr, purr, purr. Welcome. Just got off stream. So that's why the energy is kind of pumped in here. My hot take on TikTok, the app TikTok, this idea of what TikTok is, right? Always felt like it was geared towards initially. I always felt like it was geared towards a lot of the younger Gen Zers. And
Okay.
initially, I felt like that was the case for a little while, right? Because they were doing lip sync videos, and it was really unclear what the platform was supposed to be about. But
Well,
now,
it started as Musically, right?
wait, hold up.
Musically changed their name.
Musically changed her name to TikTok?
Yeah.
Bruh, how did I not know this?
Well, you don't have it, so.
Oh my god. So they're the same thing. That's kind of wild.
I mean, yes, but no.
Yeah, no.
Like.
With this
So, like.
newfound information.
Okay.
Okay. So musically, I thought that musically was just a one and done kind of app that was existed, no longer really exists or has a fan base or platform. I did not know that musically turned into TikTok.
I mean, technically accurate. Like, Musically is, like, done dead.
Right.
They just changed the name, and I think that was because, it was meant to be like lip sync videos, musically.
Yeah.
But it ended up being like, actual content. And that's when it became TikTok, I think. Because like TikTok is solely based on an algorithm.
Much
and
like a lot of our social media is these days, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it's so accurate. Like
What
it's
do you
one
mean?
of the I don't know. It's like it knows who you are. I don't know.
And what you're
know.
like?
Yeah, no, it knows me better than my friends do.
That's kind of scary.
It is, but it isn't.
It's like okay, that's a lot to kind of unpack and talk about right there. So like, let's say this, right?
Okay.
It's been proven, right, based off of several different articles and several different investigations that Amazon and a lot of these big companies, they engage in activities that are somewhat concerning from the outside looking in because they develop individual profiles. Facebook also is accused of this to some extent too. In their terms and conditions, they've laid it out to where they are able to use any information possible to advertise to you so that you're buying stuff, to what's it called? To sell your information to other people, and it's like a little bit concerning, right? Because it's like, okay, the positive side of it was meant to be like, well, this is a way to personalize, and that's the word that they like to use a lot. Personalize your interests and your likes to you. Because everyone is unique and everybody has different likes and dislikes, and it just makes sense to just do that. But also, when you think about it, like, you don't know where that information is being sold to.
Yeah.
Right? And part of the reason why, and this kind of goes back to a question that you had earlier, how did we find ourselves here in the first place? There was a case of Cambridge Analytica, and that's a whole other story, but the short version of that story is Cambridge Analytica is this company that the Trump campaign, let's deal with these people, and then I'll tell you about what the Trump campaign did. Nope. Stay right here. Stay. They just... ridiculous. They didn't want the smoke.
They did. They're like, oh, there's people southeast 142 on the road.
Southeast, coming.
I think I got this.
Alright, knock this dude.
And I killed her, so.
Okay, that was not the partner. I'm shaking down right
No.
now. I don't see
No,
partner.
my whole thing with TikTok though is that there's nothing really. There's nothing really for them to sell, you know. Like unless they're like selling your videos, but like that's literally it, you know, because like they don't really have.
Like it comes from a
ads, like,
genuine
Facebook
place,
does
is what you're
shit.
saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
The algorithm, there have been certain hashtags that have been questionable if they're like racist and don't want it to be talked about. Like there are multiple like theories, but I don't think there's anything that's been like 100% proven.
Like malicious intent or anything like that.
Yeah, but there have been like certain like things like during these like protests and stuff that have been like blocked or like flagged and like.
I think.
You know.
See, I think that's the case with a lot of other social media. Let me get back to Cambridge Analytica and I'll circle back around. So.
Okay.
Cambridge Analytica is a company that the Trump campaign hired so that they can take information from Facebook from millions of users so that they can tailor their ads directly to people. Yeah, pretty much directly tailor their ads to specific people. And on one hand, you're saying, well, you know, that kind of makes sense. You want to kind of know who your voters are, but that also kind of...
It's weird propaganda shit.
It's weird propaganda stuff, and it's like... It exposes something that may or may not be wanted to be exposed in terms of the personal information associated with it. To people, to strangers. Like strangers are able to know what you ate in the morning. Strangers are able to know your whole catalog of pictures and are able to see that. You know, like that does not. It's surprising that is not something that upsets people these days. Is that idea? Now I mentioned this too because of something that I've seen. Are you getting run up on?
No.
Okay, because I see footsteps west.
I think the reason why some people aren't even, you know, fazed or surprised anymore is because if you leave the house, rough any time. Oh, fuck.
I knew I saw footsteps. You got him?
I found him.
Okay.
Yeah, he was hiding in this room in costume for me.
Wow.
That was scary.
Yep.
Anyways, I think one of the reasons that people just aren't even fazed anymore is that anytime we leave the house, we're being recorded on so many different cameras. Go into the store, you're recorded.
Yeah.
You know, like there aren't very many dead zones where you're not being recorded.
Yeah, like there's no sense of anonymity. I mean, a lot of people tie that to like a post 9/11 world, where beforehand lots of people describe this, and I wouldn't know what this means because my pre 9/11 was when I was like 3, probably.
Yeah.
Right. But in a pre 9/11 world, there was a lot of discussion about how, you know, nowadays there wasn't, like before there wasn't necessarily an emphasis on security or, you know, knowing who came or who went or any of that, right? Like the focus was just kind of living life. And then in a post 9/11 world, that's no longer the case. We need to know who you are. We need to know badges. We need to know this, and that. And
who you are, where you're from, what
you're doing.
Like...
Right, and it just seems like now all the emphasis is on security, and that further made it, like, I get that because of cause and effect, right? I get that because, you know, 9/11 happened, it was a national tragedy, and then we ended up doing what we, you know, do best and take the fight to them, what have you, right? But then after that, people just kind of lost sight of, like, why? Like, why do we still have these very archaic ideas about we need to know who people are, what they're doing all the freaking time? And I think that's something that further adds on to even what's happening now. You know, why are the police so heavily militarized now compared to a pre 9/11 world?
Fair. 9/11 caused like all of the airports and shit to like be like Fort Knox, right? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. See, like, I think I agree with the airports and shit. Because, like, that makes sense to me. You're coming in and out of the country, you know? Because, like, other countries do stuff like that. Like, I think it's New Zealand. They have bans on, like, certain, like, fruits. Because, New Zealand doesn't have a lot of predators. So, you can't bring, like, certain fruits in. So, they don't want to have predators and like certain like bugs and shit to come into the country and, you know, like be local there now. So like I kind of get, because like they're doing roughly the same thing. Ours is a little bit more violent, but we're not trying to have like shoe bombs and shit, and like I think I get that. But I don't know, people who live here and are like, you know, citizens of here that aren't like traveling, I feel like we shouldn't be the ones being punished, you know?
Right.
Like,
And I think it's interesting because therein lies the conflict, right? On one hand, you want to have security, you want to make sure that everyone is doing the right thing,
yeah,
and is being screened. But at the same time, you don't want to feel like you have to like walk. You don't have to. You don't want to feel like you have to live in a society in which that just becomes the norm, right? And I feel
yeah,
like for us, that just kind of is what it is, just because ever since we've like known, ever since we've known
the
airports and
world
flying and
basically.
stuff, that was just how it was. But people that
Yeah,
just did not have that perspective, had the perspective before everything happened, made it to where it makes it
whoa,
harder to be able to kind of live with that norm. A lot of people talk about like the new normal and stuff like that. You know,
yeah,
like imagine that, but for like this, right? Imagine, you know, coronavirus is just something that we have to live with. I doubt, right? I think there's a lot of good things that are happening right now on that front, from what I've
yeah,
heard so far. But like that could be a reality, and a lot of people are, you know, still having kids and stuff like that. There could be a
yeah,
future. There could be a future in which there's a whole generation of kids that don't know what a pre-corona world looks like. There is bound to be, you know, kids that are gonna grow up in a world knowing that all this nationwide rioting is happening, and what a true government response, you know, looks like. Maybe kids are gonna start being skeptical of governments in the future because of things that are happening now. And I think Banana Man is running up, and I killed him.
oh, shot him dead real fast.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, these like newer generations, I feel like they're gonna be the ones that really change things.
Absolutely.
Because they're growing up literally in the middle of a pandemic and like now somewhat global revolution, because there are protests in like Italy and Brazil that I've seen, like for George Floyd. Like there are so many protests that are out of this country now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's like, and
Yeah.
it was bound to happen at some point. And I said this last night to a friend, and she somewhat agreed. This pandemic is awful, but it's also like kind of the best time, because literally everybody can't work, so all they have to do is protest. Like they have so much time on their hands, they don't have to do anything else, you
Yeah.
know. So they can dedicate their whole entire like days.
Northeast on me.
All right, coming. No, they can like dedicate all of their time right now to the cause. So, like,
Down point. She took all my shield.
how rude.
Very rude. Do you have minis?
I have 2.
Oh, actually, no, wait.
2
I
for
have
you.
I have 6 minis. My bad. You can take those.
Okay.
I'm just not
No,
paying
I
attention to
had-
my loadout at all.
I had a stack of 6. I meant I have 2 for you, but whatever.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I think this is like a really important time. And this is kind of like one of those times where in my head I'm like, was like this like something that like supposed to happen?
Right. I think that's passed my mind through a lot. I mean, you know, I think you of all people know exactly where my thought process is exactly with that idea.
Yeah.
You know, cuz I had envisioned a completely different year than this year in many different respects, right? Not only was this year meant to be like really super fun for me, because of all the things that I had planned, but just life things, right? Greater life things. And, you know, thinking about pre-corona world 2020, if there was a reality in which none of this had happened, would we be where we are right now, right? Would you and I have reconnected to the point at which we're playing Fortnite and doing streams and doing videos? Probably not. Shoot, yeah, I see them.
Where?
Southwest.
They're up top.
Oh shit.
Oh, shit, there's 2 up top. Okay, I guess I'll get this way, you get that way?
I guess so. I'm reloading, please stop shooting me. Shoot. Damn it. Yeah, this is not good.
Okay, this is fine. This is fine. Whoa.
Totally fine.
Okay. Get out?
Yeah. Are you even able to reboot me? Probably not. Yeah, don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. I'm like right in there, but yeah, there's no way you can reboot. Shield up.
Shit. How, bitch? How?
How? Follow the llama now.
Drink.
No.
Oh. Nope. Who killed me?
Bubble Hunter 22. That's the guy who killed you.
Okay.
Da-na-na, da-na-na.